New York City Junky Days. I was there, New York City, the infamous East Village. Unfortunately, most of my memories of the 80s and 90s in this crazy place at a crazy time have faded. Years of alcohol and heroin abuse have taken their toll on how I remember things. But all these years later, I'm still alive to tell the tale, even if it may be a bit off base from the truth. What is the truth anyway? One man's truth is another man's lie, and I know all too well about lies. Looking back on that time in my life, I'm surprised I survived. There were far too many times when I should have met my maker or been sentenced for my crimes. I've never seen myself as particularly tough, but apparently I am. I believe that a lot of what allowed me to survive this period in my life was sheer luck and a drunken guardian angel or two. For better or for worse, those times have molded me into the person I am today. It was a high price to pay, but sometimes the most painful and difficult experiences provide the highest payout, even if it takes years to collect the profit. This is my story. The names of most have been changed to protect the guilty. Everyone I knew was guilty of something, mostly of bad decisions, myself included. Maybe the stories I'm telling did happen the way I remember them. Or perhaps the years and the abuse have turned them into an unrecognizable blur, jumbled mess of recollections, a glamorized version of the way I saw things. Either way, fact or fiction, this book is a glimpse into days gone by, of old school New York, of the way things used to be. This is not the story of the modern day Disneyland of Times Square filled with family-friendly attractions. Mine is from a time when Times Square was seedy, dirty, and it reeked of peep shows and X-rated full-feature films, way before the internet annihilated this genre of adult entertainment. Despite New York City being a dicey, dirty, and dangerous place during my time there, it's the New York City that I love. Heroin in the Lower East Side. We walked down Avenue B, heading downtown towards Houston Street while getting to know each other better. His story was similar to mine. He was a few years younger than me and had moved to the neighborhood a few years prior. His was the usual story, just like hundreds of us. Out of curiosity, tried heroin once, liked it, couldn't keep it under control, wound up addicted. Same old story. We copped at the same spots, and although we didn't know each other, we always said hello or waved whenever we happened to cross paths. While walking down Avenue B, we came to the block where I usually bought my works. I had some at home, so I intentionally didn't make eye contact with any of the usual sellers who were all patiently sitting in doorways or on upside-down plastic pails, the types that street musicians used for drums. In the middle of the block, across from a vacant, garbage-strewn lot, were 3 or 4 young Latino kids kicking a can. They couldn't have been any older than 11 or 12. My friend and I continued talking and ignored them as we walked by their game of kick the can. Just as we passed them, one called out to us. "Hey, mister!" He yelled directly at us with the most angelic child's voice. "You dropped your heroin needle." He innocently pointed to the sidewalk as if trying to be helpful. We both spun around and looked at the ground as he and his friends started to laugh. Even knowing that I didn't have a needle on me, I instinctively looked to the ground and patted my pockets to make sure that I hadn't, in fact, dropped one. My friend did the same. I just laughed and said, "Yeah, kid, you got me on that one," as we turned around and continued heading downtown. We crossed busy Houston Street and formally entered the Lower East Side. Walking further downtown on Clinton Street, we made a left turn onto Stanton. I had butterflies in my stomach. This part of town was so downtrodden and sad, and it gave me the heebie-jeebies. The energy here was way off. Although it was relatively quiet with not many people on the street, with that quietness came the feeling that something could happen at any moment. And that something did happen. We hadn't even walked a full block on Stanton when an empty beer bottle smashed at our feet, sending broken shards of glass in all directions. Somebody had accidentally, or perhaps intentionally, dropped it from a window or the roof of the building we were walking by. I didn't see it falling, but the second it hit the sidewalk with a loud crash, I instinctively leapt to the side to avoid the biting glass. The sudden noise had broken the quiet side street and scared the hell out of us. Looking up at the building to our side, there was no one to be seen. It could have innocently been accidentally knocked off a window ledge, or maybe it was an upset neighbor who recognized two white boys heading into the hood to buy drugs. We shrugged it off and continued walking eastbound on Stanton. Off in the distance, maybe a block or two away, we heard firecrackers. Being close to the 4th of July, this was normal, and with each passing day, the frequency of bangs and booms increased. As we continued walking down the street, we got closer to their source. Suddenly, we heard the loud whistle of a bottle rocket that zoomed right by us, inches above our heads, coming at us in a downward and slanted direction. Seconds later, two more whizzed by us just as hundreds of firecrackers went off, raining their shattered paper on us. It seemed surreal, as if we were in a war zone and not New York City. Unlike the bottle that crashed next to us, this attack was definitely intentional. Looking skyward, we could see the silhouette of 5 or 6 people on the roof of the building right in front of us. They were probably local teenagers who thought it was funny to rain hellfire on the defenseless junkies below. I should have taken the firecracker assault and the dropped bottle as a sign that we were not welcome. But the need for dope far outweighed any logic or common sense. If I had to go into a war zone to cop, I'd dodge the bullets and take my chances.